time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave from the 408, broadcasting to you all the way from my new casa the Shoe Shine in the 702. Joining me as always for another special edition of the Shoe Shine is my co-host all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish. Que pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
I want to thank everybody who supported us this Saturday night as Drew and I were just trying out. He got his microphone working. I've been working on my studio, and I didn't make an announcement we were going live, so I appreciate everyone who's just joining us. D-Style Boxing, shout out to D-Style, the man, Tony Boswell. By the way, guys, I'm going to put this out there in just a few minutes, but there's some big news. If you don't follow D-Style on YouTube, make sure you guys check this out this Thursday, because this is going to be a very, very special show. Thursday on the Roundtable. Let me get this up here. Roberto Diaz, of course, the great from Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions. He's been a longtime boxing fixture. Will be joining us on the panel. I'll be there. Make sure you don't miss this special episode of the Roundtable right here on YouTube on D-Style Boxing. Saludos, everybody, to just joining us, man. Yeah. How was your weekend, Drew?
It was so-so.
All right, man. Well, it was kind of a so-so weekend for boxing. There was some pretty major news. First, right off the bat, man, I was really looking forward to watching this Ioka, who's one of the great four-division champion in boxing in Japan, going against Joshua Franco, the brother of Bam Rodriguez, possibly the bigger star of the two. Going over to Japan, Drew, last time we had to watch Mikey Garcia. If you wanted to watch the fight, you had to watch him on Instagram Live, and the camera looks perfect right there. Again, Drew, a big disservice. I didn't get to see this fight, and I still haven't watched it in its entirety other than a few highlight clips, man. But I heard it was a banger. And I actually, and D-Style too, speaking to him, we both predicted that Ioka would come away with a decisive win this time. And he did, in fact, Drew. But the big story about that fight was that Joshua Franco, the champion, 115, who's always seems very disciplined, as well as his brother, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who's a phenomenal future talent. Very disciplined guys. He comes in 6 pounds, almost 7 pounds overweight, Drew. A shocker to people in the boxing community, to the boxing world, that he came in so drastically overweight, Drew. I joked, I said, shit, maybe he thought he was fighting Stephen Fulton, man. But you know what? After hearing about the news post-fight, Drew, it turns out, unlike we hear often about Ryan Garcia talking about his mental health woes, and we hear other fighters like Teofimo, we hear him publicly in interviews, and you think something's going on, right? But I have to say, he posted his retirement, which came as a huge shock to me because I think he's still in the prime. He's only 27 years old or so. And he posted on social media that this would be his last fight, which was a shock to me. Shock to me, Drew. And I wanted to know, he posted afterwards that he's been struggling. He wanted to reveal that you're not alone if you suffer from mental health issues. But it was so dramatic that it affected his camp, and it affected him coming in at weight, something he's never had an issue with. So are you surprised, Drew, by such a young man, 27, still, he came in drastically overweight, but hanging up the ropes? You think he just needs to take some time away from the sport?
Tell you the truth, what is he, 18, 2-3?
Yeah, he's had some wars and 3 draws. You're right about that record.
So when he's 27, I'm not gonna say he should retire or anything. It's not rough. Keep pursuing your career. I get those guys that had double-digit losses and still continue on, and not a lot of them had success afterwards. But Glenn Johnson did. He became a light heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
but he had trouble 13 losses. But maybe if he takes some time away from boxing, maybe resets himself. Maybe he might want to come back. But maybe he just doesn't have it in him no more. He was 6.5 pounds overweight. So there was something probably wrong. So it's just evidence he probably doesn't have it in him no more. So maybe take some time away, see where you are then. But he wants to call it quits, maybe it's the right decision for him to do is call it quits.
You know, Drew, you bring up a great point. Glenn Johnson, who was a great throwback fighter and went on to still become a world champion with all those losses. But I also think of Philadelphia's Gabe Rosado, who had double-digit losses and still just retired recently this year in his last outing, right? And still gave one hell of a fight to Jaime Munguia. So I hope to not see the end of his Franco the Professor's career. Maybe he just needs some time away. Maybe our homeboy Sonthio Media, if he wants to call or in the chat, can point to us maybe a little bit about what is really going on. But I wish him the best. Of course, you know, his health is his priority, of course. And I hope he's made a decent amount of money in his professional career. That leaves his brother, Drew. His brother, like, damn, Bam Rodriguez became a star overnight with 2 impressive wins, coming up from 112 to 115 and beating these old school legends at that weight division at 115. And he goes back down to 112, where everybody wants to see him fight Sonny Edwards. But really, I thought, shit, Bam Rodriguez is only not fighting at 115, a division where he beats the top dogs because he didn't want to be in a predicament where him and his brother were, you know, basically fighting for the titles, or, you know, I mean, it could potentially be that they could have split titles, had both titles at 115 and people asking brothers to fight or whatnot, which of course, I don't think it would ever happen. But, you know, I feel he didn't want to compete with his brother at that division at 115 and take the limelight away from him. Well, it leaves him free, Drew, to go up to 115. So I'm not sure what the status of this great fight between him and Sonny Edwards. I hear it's close to being done, but the truth of it is, if Joshua Franco has problems making weight like that, I've seen Jesse Rodriguez pictures of him off camp, and there's no way that dude is anywhere close to being under 120 off camp. Or when he's not in fighting shape, man. It must be incredibly hard to get down to that weight, man. So, hey, if he wants to move up to 115, I'm all ready to see him go back up there and conquer that division. But we will see. Shout out to my boy Fonzie619 joining us in the chat. Saludos to him. I know we're going to be going to some fights in July, some fights I'm very excited about. Frank Martin, of course. Frank Martin says he's the best at 135. We'll see him in action at the Cosmopolitan July 15th. But even more important than that, Drew, is that Nonito Donaire will be going for, I think it's his 50th professional fight. If it's not his 40th, it's his 50th. He's 40 years old, and he's going to be facing a Mexican guy for a one last opportunity to be a 118-pound champion. He's done that before, but to become world champion again at 40, that's because Inoue went up to 122. He relinquished all those belts. Inoue and Donaire had one of the fight of the year contenders, if not fight of the year, just several years back, man. And Nonito Donaire is going to get one more chance. I am freaking stoked about that, of course. All right, Drew, I talked enough, man. Should we get into Berlanga? You have any final thoughts on this Ioka Franco situation?
You know, tell you the truth, you're really going to see now with Ioka, like, what fights can he get in the future, you know? So we'll see. Like, not really much more to do, to figure with Ioka.
The question is, will Ioka unify with Nakatani, the other Junto Nakatani, who's a phenomenal talent? Yeah, be forced to 2 Japanese greats. Probably a fight we will none of us will get to see either, man. It's not fair that Japanese Tekken promotions and those kind of people can't get someone to show the fights. And I know a lot of people were pissed this weekend saying, why the hell doesn't DAZN carry it? We pay enough for that. Why isn't DAZN there covering that fight?
Yeah, like, I was just trying to look on boxing records to see who else is in that division. Nakatani is a reasonable fight. Might be hard it shouldn't be that hard to make, but like, right now it's more about does the winner of this Bam Rodriguez Sonny Edwards fight move up and potentially fight Ioka? Right,
and maybe we'll be lucky enough to see Ioka defend his titles against one of the great Mexican champions at 115. That all remains to be seen. Shout out to Little Penny, Chicano Prophet, Nando Lamas, everyone joining us. Remember, guys, this is a live call-in show, so I do set up the phone. Tony Boswell If you want to give a call, you could tap in at 702-710-3627. That is the area code now that I straight up live in Las Vegas. Drew, I was talking to D-Style earlier today. El Paso is up to 110, and it looks like all of America is going to be experiencing a heat wave. And I know that when I moved from the Bay Area that I was going to have to deal with this shit, but I am completely unprepared as I'm facing triple digits for a whole week next week and possibly the rest of July, man. So, your boy from the Shoe Shine will be hibernating this summer in July. I'm trying to make the studio look as best as I can, make improvements. Eventually, maybe I can show some highlight clips. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the work I've done so far to my office, how I can make it better. But thank you guys for joining us. Drew, let's get on to this Berlanga fight, and then we'll get on to Julian J. Rock Williams of Philadelphia, former champion who fought Carlos Adames on Showtime. But I did title the show... Hold up, guys. Hold up. I want to make this announcement. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm talking about living in Las Vegas. But friend of the show, Andy El Tiburon Vences. He's also very good friends with Lukey Boxing. Make sure you follow Lukey Boxing on YouTube. Of course, we're all from the Bay Area. And I had high hopes for Andy El Tiburon Vences going way back to when I saw him fight on ESPN, and I think at that time Paulie Malignaggi was the commentator, and that happened to be at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco at the Union Hall. I'm like, this is like 10 plus years ago, man. I thought, damn, this guy's good. California Golden Gloves winner, amateur standout. I had high hopes for him. Of course, we had Carlos the Ghost Guerrero, the great legend from San Jose, California. I had very high hopes for Andy's career, and I'll tell you what, he left it all in the ring, and I'm very proud of what he did. He was on the show, a few times here. He represented San Jose in the Bay Area the best he could. He gave it all he could, guys. Some of you guys thought he almost beat the current featherweight IBF champion in El Venado Lopez. A very close fight. He had a lot of close fights that kind of led towards the demise of his career. Ended up appearing on that, what was that, Triller? Drew, he fought Triller. He fought your Irish guy to a very close fight as well. Another fight that could have gone either way. And this weekend, Fernando Vargas' son, Fernando Vargas Jr., was the co-main event, man. So shout out to Fernando Vargas Jr. for going out to the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and for Emily, who is the PR agent and also the PR agent for David Benavidez, for putting on a great show in San Francisco. Unfortunately, Andy, it turns out, lost to a Venezuelan fighter, and he also announced his retirement. And I wish him the best in whatever he's going to do. I hear he's a fantastic trainer. Hopefully we'll have him on the show. And also he's got a great YouTube channel. So make sure you guys follow him because he gives a lot of insightful tips on training. And how, you can fire up your workout at home from a professional boxer's point of view. Shout out to our Andy El Tiburon Vences from San Jose, who also announced his retirement. Thank you, guys. I just had to put that out because, like someone in here said, man, East Bay legend, Leonito Donaire is a Filipino boxing legend. And, of course, I always have to support the guys that come out of the Bay Area. Not the easiest place to become a world champion out of, Drew, because Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New York, Philadelphia, those are known to be fighting towns, man. And we do our best out in the Bay Area. Of course, we've had Andre Ward, Nonito Donaire, we've had some great world champions. But let's move on, Drew. Edgar Berlanga, is he the next? Bro, they still promoting him as the next Miguel Cotto, the next big Puerto Rican star out of New York City, the great Felix Trinidad. And I got to ask, I saw D-Style said, hell no. He gave himself a C grade. Yes, to Matador. Guerrero is from Gilroy, California. Gilroy strong. Shout out to him. Shout out to Bob Santos, trainer of the year he's actually from San Jose. He actually was training Carlos Adames, and he's training David Morrell. He's become a tremendous boxing coach. The Santos brothers, him and his young son. Tremendous. But yeah, absolutely correct there. He is from Gilroy, which is 30 minutes south. My father-in-law still lives in Gilroy. So shout out to Gilroy, the great garlic capital of the U.S. But all right, on to this Edgar Berlanga, guys. You guys can call, too, if you want to chime in, man. He gave himself a C, Drew, fighting an Irish champ, Irish guy. Could be, I don't even remember if he was ever a champ. But let's be honest, Jason Quigley was sparked out by a Boo Boo Andrade, Drew. What did you expect from this fight going into it? We watched it together this Saturday night. What did you think of his performance? He gave himself a C.
Yeah, he didn't look good at all. He didn't look good at all. His gas tank was starting to go where his punch output went. You can tell in the middle of the fight, his punch output was going. He was breathing heavily through his mouth halfway through the fight. He walked into a lot of shots. So I'm really looking for positives here. The only positives I could see, he's jabbing a lot more and working his jab.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a positive that he's working his jab, but he couldn't get another guy out of there. So, do I see him potentially maybe beating any elite fighter in this division? No. He does not beat the elite fighter in this division. I don't even think he doesn't get stopped by any elite fighter in this division. And I'm speaking even involving Caleb Plant into that. I really think every elite fighter has most likely the potential to stop Edgar Berlanga.
Okay, well, you make a great point, Drew. The competition, unlike the middleweight division, which everyone seems to have fled. Everyone's either fighting at 154 or skipping right up from middleweight up to super middleweight. All right, it's the division that's been abandoned. And Jason Quigley left 160 pounds. And going into the fight, I said, man, he doesn't even look suited to be a fighter at 168. He doesn't have the size or the power. Shout out to Tony Boswell. He says 12 rounds with Jason. Berlanga hasn't shown any growth in 2 years or 4 fights. I believe he is peaked, in my opinion. Drew, he went on a 16-fight KO streak, and people were trying to compare him to Mike Tyson, who also went 16-0 undefeated at the beginning of his career. And I read a great article today on New York Fights, Drew, comparing Mike Tyson to Edgar Berlanga. And the writer, whom I forget, I apologize, stated that there is no comparison between Mike Tyson and Edgar Berlanga. The skill set was not shown in the 16 fights that Edgar Berlanga has to compare him to Mike Tyson. It's just not there. So the question is, and Tony Boswell makes a good point, have we seen any growth? And I think Saturday I was kind of gracious to him, and I said, I've seen some growth. Yeah, he's been working on the jab. He's not cutting off the ring. And the biggest criticism I got is, why the fuck did Edgar Berlanga struggle to finish a guy that he had noticeably hurt and knocked down 4 times? Why can't he finish people when he's got them hurt? What's wrong with his gas tank? Is he not know how to cut off the ring? What are some of these issues, man, that you haven't seen him improve on?
Well, here's the thing. He can't cut off the ring, that's for sure. That's one of the main problems of Berlanga's off of boxing. He cannot cut off the ring. Second, he just walks into a lot of punches. His defense is horrible. He walks into a lot of punches. I just don't see how he's really improved. Yeah, his jab's gotten better. He's more consistent with the jab, but he's still walking into a lot of punches. He still has gas tank issues. He still can't cut the ring off. There's a lot of issues with Berlanga. And what is he, 21-0 now? He's 21 fights in his career. I look at it and say, how is he has sort of an amateur background. How is he 21 fights in his pro career and he still really hasn't improved that much? I think he should go to a trainer that's more that can make him improve, because he's still young and everything. But the only problem is he willing to do that? I'm looking at these rankings and everything, where he's at and everything. He's number 5 on the WBO rankings in super middleweight.
Number 5.
He's number 5, but he's ranked above John Ryder now.
All right, D-Style and Tony Boswell. And I think that they bring up Ryder because naturally Ryder had an incredible, gutsy, full of heart performance against Canelo Alvarez, really giving Canelo Alvarez all he could in Canelo's home state of Guadalajara, of Jalisco, and home city of Guadalajara. He really did an admirable performance there in that fight against Canelo. How does Berlanga, what have we seen out of him? Who has he beat at 168? He should definitely not be against above Ryder. And to be honest, Drew, we can go down the list, man. You got the former WBC champion and David Benavidez. You have David Morrell, who's got a WBA regular belt. You've got former champion Caleb Plant. That's number 4 right there. Anthony Durrell. Yeah, he got knocked out. A former world champion. He could be number 5. But he should, even then, what about Bubo Andrade? Undefeated. Undefeated.
You know what's crazy?
Former champ at 160. There's no way Berlanga's above those guys.
Here's the thing. For him to become the WBO mandatory, he's going to have to go through 4 fighters that are undefeated. And the number 1 ranked WBO fighter right now, super middleweight, is Demetrius Andre. Yeah. So I don't see him beating none of these 4 guys in front of him. Let's see something else. Let's see if I can. But like, there's just a couple of fighters that's in front of him. I don't see him getting a mandatory shot at the WBO level. So now I'm really seeing that who else is next and everything. Who else can we put in now to get his rankings? So we did WBO. Let's do IBF. What's next on IBF? And tell you the truth, he does not get past none of these guys. And what is he ranked at IBF? And he's not even ranked in the IBF. That's the one thing. He is not ranked at the IBF.
Man, I put up this graphic here. Listen, I know about filters, guys, okay? Did Oscar face app himself here? I mean, I don't know, man. This is some nice Botox here. This is some good Botox. Oscar looks pretty young here. Now, if you haven't heard, Edgar Berlanga was ripping on Oscar this week and talking a gang load of shit. According to Edgar Berlanga, he said Oscar will act like he's your best friend one minute. The next day, he's talking mad shit about you. Now, you know why these two guys were meeting. They met because obviously when he parted ways with Top Rank, Edgar Berlanga flirted with the idea of signing with Oscar and Golden Boy. Oscar probably promised him the world. Eventually, he ends up with who he says is the much better fit for him in Eddie Hearn. But Drew, now that Canelo is gone from DAZN for a while, he's signing a 3-fight deal with PBC. We can't avoid the elephant in the room, and that's that Oscar's got a great fighter in Jaime Munguia, someone that brings and delivers action-packed fights, a Mexican star, really a future Mexican star, in my opinion. Yeah, he's not perfect or without flaws, but let's be real. The Mexican-Puerto Rican rivalry is one that today still exists, and it's one of the most coveted rivalries in the sport of boxing that always delivers a great fan base. Edgar Berlanga potentially could make this fight happen if he can have his people, Eddie Hearn, deal with Oscar, but Oscar's in a war of words with Eddie Hearn. So the best fight at DAZN may never happen. So we might get, so guys in the chat, I know you guys are done talking about him, but hey, he's at DAZN. What is the best logical fight? John Ryder. Apparently the orbital bone of your boy, Drew, remember, who was that guy with the orbital bone? Saunders. Saunders is ready to come back. And John Ryder's one tough guy. Who else did he mention? Gennady Golovkin, 40 years. Do you think he gets past Gennady Golovkin with that performance?
Hell, he doesn't get past Gennady Golovkin at 40 years old.
Does Gennady Golovkin want to fight the guy? What's in it for Gennady? I mean, he just fought Canelo. I mean, really? What kind of money are you going to offer Gennady to fight Berlanga?
I don't think he will go to try to fight him and everything. Like, I looked at it, I'm like, what the hell? But for him to move up these rankings, because his best path to become a mandatory is the WBO. He's ranked the highest at WBO. Because the West, he's not ranked in the IBF. He's ranked number 11 in the WBC. He's ranked the 10th in the WBA. He's going to have to go through guys like Demetrius Andre, which, tell you the truth, Demetrius Andre is number 1 in two of the, section and bodies. So I look at it like this. there's just a lot he has to go through, and I don't think he beats a lot of these guys that he has to go through, because in order for him to get up in the rankings, he's gonna have to start beating guys that are ranked in the top 10. I don't see him beating on these top 10 guys.
Drew, I'm cracking up. Fonzie619 says, we were at Munguia versus Derevchenko, lucky guy. And that's the first boxing match Carol got into so much she had some kind of boxing orgasm, if that's even a thing. So she's looking forward to this next match. I don't know. That fight was pretty freaking epic, man. That was one of these fight of the year contenders. And I can see how anybody, including someone's spouse, wife, girlfriend, fiance, could just have a boxing orgasm, if that's even a thing. Lomachenko, we were all at Lomachenko versus Devin Haney, and that was more of a skill versus skill. But you're right about that, man. That Munguia, he's that kind of action-packed throwback fighter. And I'm glad you brought up Derevchenko, Drew, because it turns out that Berlanga is managed by the same guy as Derevchenko, and for some reason on Saturday night, they completely avoided bringing up Sergey Derevchenko.
He don't want no parts of Derevchenko. Derevchenko would destroy Edgar Berlanga. He would knock out Edgar Berlanga. And thing about it is, all you have to do when it comes to that fight, or when you bet on it, is bet the round he knocks him out in. And hopefully you get lucky. Because I tell you the truth, the line for the odds for the knockout is going to be like plus maybe 110. At most, at the best odds you're going to get, or it's going to be minus 110. Yeah, because they're just asking what round is he going to knock? Derevchenko's going to knock him out in.
Yeah, Derevchenko's a tough out for anybody. He gave probably the best performance of his life at 37 years old just a few weeks ago. It's kind of a travesty he didn't get the nod. It goes that way with close fights. You guys could call that one a robbery. I don't even remember how I feel about it, other than it had looked to me like Derevchenko could have pulled away with the win. Throw him in with Berlanga, and I don't see Berlanga getting past Derevchenko, especially Jaime Munguia right now. He needs more seasoning. He just needs more seasoning, man. It's too much. He's buying too much into his own hype, and he could get his ass beat, or knocked out, hurt, if he fights one of the top guys. So if Eddie Hearn's smart, I think he'll just continue to develop him little by little and not throw him in to one of these dangerous lions just yet. Not just yet. Don't cash out on him yet. It doesn't seem that Oscar has any intention of giving him the Jaime Munguia fight either, which I think, makes sense to make that fight. From what I read today, Oscar's full throat going for this David Benavidez fight. I think it looks to me like Oscar says, okay, Canelo's not going to fight David Benavidez. My guy will. I'll make that fight. And I'm willing to maybe float it around Mexican Independence Day weekend if possible. Who knows if we'll even maybe have finally promoters go toe-to-toe.
I'm sorry, that fucking Munguia David Benavidez fight, that's a cherry pick for Benavidez. I'm sorry. I don't think that's a cherry pick, man. I really gotta agree with the Canelo fans that Benavidez would duck a Morel fight. And people can say, oh, he only had 9 fights. But the thing about it is, PBC fast-tracked him for a reason. He's beaten top 10 opposition in sanctioning bodies. He has a WBA interim title, which makes him the mandatory to Canelo Alvarez already, with 9 professional fights. I don't understand how people say, oh, he had 9 professional fights. He also had a 130-2 amateur record. That's why he got fast-tracked. He was a decorated amateur and everything. And these people are trying so hard to make a reason for a Benavidez Morel fight not to happen, because they know Morel will beat Benavidez. Morel might not only beat him, but stop him.
Yeah, today I was reading, I think Bob Santos, who I just mentioned, is the coach for Carlos Adames. Shout out to Bob Santos from San Jose, California. He said that David Morel is so talented as a Cuban athlete. He's such a phenomenal athlete that he guarantees you that if he had not become a professional boxer, that he could easily have made it in baseball, because, Cubans export fantastic baseball players. Could have been an outfielder for the Yankees, or even a strong safety in the NFL. That is the type of explosive athlete David Morel is. Now, Boxing MMA 365 says Munguia will get slaughtered by Benavidez, and I think Munguia would slaughter Edgar Berlanga. So 168 is a crazy division, man. How it's going to play out with this 3-fight deal with PBC, what order Canelo will fight these guys in, there's going to be a path to David Benavidez. There's no way that fight doesn't happen. I'm confident that fight will happen, but the most dangerous one of all, I think the most dangerous fight is against David Morrell. I still say that. It's a very dangerous fight for Canelo, and possibly if you let the much, much younger David Morrell get into his physical prime, because there's a huge age gap right now. This guy, I remember, he's only got 10 professional fights or so. If you let David Morrell get any better, that don't benefit you to get into your mid-30s and take this fight. So it'll be really, really interesting in 2024, that 3-fight deal, if it includes Benavidez and David Morrell. I mean, who else are you going to fight over at PBC? Those are dangerous, both very exciting and dangerous fights.
You got to realize, man, David Benavidez' nickname is no longer El Bandano or Bandana Rojo. It's El Bandano Blanco.
Little Penny cracks me up. Little Penny says Morales could probably guard Kevin Durant on the perimeter. Hashtag LOL. You know what? He could be on the Raiders with Jimmy G now here in Las Vegas. He's that fantastic of an athlete. He could be strong safety for Jimmy Garoppolo taking over the Raiders spot. Little Penny cracks me up.
But you know what?
Yeah.
A statement of Little Penny cracks me up, and it's the Munguia versus Berlanga does $500K in Vegas. No, it does not. It's a joke. That's a funny joke, though. But it does not do nowhere near $500K, bro. I don't know where you coming up with that shit, man.
Which fight?
The Berlanga versus Munguia does $500K on pay-per-view. If it does in Vegas. I'm like, okay, then you woke up.
Who knows, man? Who knows what that would actually do?
It doesn't do shit on pay-per-view.
You have to factor in how many hardcore boxing fans who are familiar with Munguia are willing to support him and actually pay because up until now, other than paying for a membership with DAZN, you haven't seen Munguia in a pay-per-view, and you haven't seen Berlanga. That's pretty wild to say that's pay-per-view worthy. That's pretty wild, because none of these guys have a track record of being a pay-per-view attraction. All right. Let's get cracking, guys. I just put up here Carlos Adames, who moved up from 154 to 160. There's a huge gap at 160 now. You know, Arizlandi Lara, a Cuban 38-year-old or something, he's got a belt now. Gennady Golovkin left up to 168. The question is this division up for grabs? Janibek? I mean, you guys been really impressed with Janibek? He's kind of been hit or miss. He looks beatable at times. He looks fantastic at times. He's rather inconsistent. And Julian Williams, who once was the champion at 154. Drew, another guy who could be thinking about retirement, man. He hasn't had the easiest luck. But I will say this about J-Rock Williams. I do follow him on social media, bro. He's a very smart guy. He's invested money in real estate in Philadelphia. He's a straight up apartment. He owns apartments. Now, that's a smart guy. That's a guy thinking long-term. So if he walks away from the sport in the next year or so, good for J-Rock, bro, because he invested his money wisely. But what you think about this fight, man? Is Carlos Adames some guy that could potentially take over the middleweight division?
Tell you the truth, the whole fucking division's a shit show. like that was an even fight for me until that premature stoppage. That was an awful fucking stoppage. I don't care anybody.
Okay, I will say that. I did catch the replay because we were heavily invested in the Berlanga fight. And I think it was another one of these bad stoppages, because we've seen J-Rock Williams get rattled like that and come back into fights. Again, he is a former world champion. There's been way too many early stoppages. So I think it was an early stoppage. But Drew, I was beginning to see that Adames' power was starting to break him down. So I think it was inevitable, but I hate early stoppages. You guys think it was an early stoppage? Let me know.
You know what, man? I just gotta say this. You're a nerd. Before you assault me or hate on me, know how to fucking spell.
You talking about nerd says, nah, Drew's still salty over the Venado whooping on Conlon.
Yeah, know how to
spell check.
Know how to fucking spell. You spell check.
Drew takes pretty, actually, guys, he takes these, when Irish fighters lose, he takes it very well. I think most of us do, man.
Like
most of us take
like
our fighter taking a loss. We take it all right. We take it like men.
I look at it like this. It's just, it's a shit show in that division. Like, when Jamil moves up, he's probably going to be the main guy in that division. He's likely going to get a title shot at a vacated belt with Carlos Adonis. He may be, and he's probably going to beat Carlos Adonis. Like, I just don't really see that division in the ups anytime soon, because it's just a shit show division. Titles were held hostage for a title was held hostage by Charlo for so long.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving up. Doesn't mean he's coming. He stayed at 168, but it's a shit show, that division. Janet Beck is very iffy right now. He's likely not going to get any significant fights for some time because of the network bullshit. So, at the end of the day, you're still looking at a shit show division.
Yeah, it was such a shit show that Boo Boo Andrade, Eddie Hearn couldn't get him fights, even though he was the middleweight champ. He said, I can't materialize a fight that's going to pay you enough. You got Boo Boo Andrade chasing Canelo at every opportunity to have post-fight press conferences to fight him as the middleweight champ. You got people, like I said earlier, man, people have abandoned that weight class. They all want to fight at 168 because that's where the big money is. And I'm glad Tony Boswell bring this up, because this is who had the better knockout, Nakatani versus Maloney or Tim Tszyu versus Ocampo. That knockout was freaking highlight KO of the year potential, man, because he caught that guy going backwards and still hit him on the chin with a hook. And you can see his face just whip, man. That was a nasty KO. I think that's a front runner for me. But I actually said on Joe Habib's roundtable, I think a week or two ago, that I think that fight still has potential to be made. But more and more now, as time is passing, Drew, now I'm kind of changing my mind that Tim Tszyu's going to get a shot at Charlo. I think it's very likely with how weak sauce that 160 division is, and Charlo being at that weight division for so long, that is natural for him to want to move up to like you said, Drew, a vacant title opportunity. Hanging on to all four belts is hard work. You got to pay all them damn sanctioning fees. It's going to look like a duck. It's going to look like a duck.
I don't think he's going to duck Tim Tszyu.
Do you think he's going to fight him?
I think he's going to fight him, and I think he's going to beat him. Hey, people really need to pump the brakes a little bit.
On Tim Tszyu. So you're not hyped on him, huh?
Yeah, I like what he's doing. He's staying active and everything, but people are really thinking he's going to beat Charlo and everything. And this is the one that actually fought everybody.
Yeah.
Why would he duck him if he fought everybody in this division and cleaned it out?
Well, I'm not hyped about Charlo's ring inactivity, both of them. The rust is real, man. And the track record in the past year or two that we've seen fighters take year-long layoffs or longer, it hasn't bode well to anybody who takes an entire year off or longer. They just don't come back as sharp as they were during their prime. And I don't think it benefits Charlo to jump right back into a Tim Tszyu fight. I think it spells disaster. He's going to have a tune-up, and I don't think they're going to allow him to, because he's got to defend that belt. They've got to defend those four belts. Someone's going to force that fight to happen now. So I ain't too keen on that.
But I look at it like this, Tony. That fight does between 150 to 250K on pay-per-view if Mejia fights Berlanga. That's all it does. It does not do that much because, you could say people can say Berlanga's a star, but and Mejia a star. They're not big stars. They're on the same they're not big stars. They're not big enough stars that would get you 300K in pay-per-view buys. They're not even a big enough stars to get you 250K in pay-per-view buys. It's a shame that people are overvaluing Mejia as a star right now, because he's not that big of a star yet. People are still waiting for him to fight a fight that people are gonna approve of. The Horiko's ain't approving of the fights that he's fighting. So until he fights a bigger name, he's gonna be a borderline star, but he's not a star yet.
Nando Lama says Jermel versus Tszyu is a 50-50 fight. That can't be disrespectful to either guy. And by the way, I want to say hello and shout out to my friend Mom Food Plant and Things who comes in here. Guys, follow her. She's got a great YouTube channel. She's a great friend and she's a great moderator on YouTube. If you guys are interested, you can check out her YouTube channel. She does great things and she's a great person. So shout out to Mom Food Plant and Things for stopping by and saying hello. All right, Drew. The 160-pound division is trash. It's ripe for anybody to take it over, man. Carlos Adames, I think he's got a shot at being one of the next middleweight champions. I wouldn't mind seeing him against PBC's guy, but that's unlikely. Or maybe it is likely. I mean, they are on Showtime, right? The Cuban, Erislandy Lara. Maybe that is a possibility. I don't know if I don't think Bob Santos trains Erislandy Lara. I think Bob Santos used to work in Texas, so maybe he's connected. But that's a potential good fight. Like you said, the Janibek fight might be hard to make, but it's just a division where all the belts are going to go either way, and a lot of people aren't going to be interested because there is no star. There's no one at that division to break out and be a crossover star in the U.S. and make enough noise to get people interested in it. Not that they're trash fighters. It's just a trash division at the moment, and that's how it goes in boxing.
Yeah, it's really crazy because like the main guy at that division vacated all his belts. Triple G. That was the big catch grab. In 160 was Triple G. A fight with Triple G would have got you money and everything. Then he's vacated all his belts. So now, what the hell do you do if you're a middleweight? Do you consider moving down to 154, or do you try your luck and move to 168 and everything? It's a lot of issues at middleweight, and if you're a middleweight fighter, you're in for a real long thinking session with your management and your promoter to see what's the best money grab for me and who's the best fighter for me to fight that can make me that money.
Yeah, we just saw Derevchenko fight at 168. We all remember him as a middleweight. Nando says Derevchenko versus Janibek. Of course, that would be a fire fight. The Kazakhstan fighter versus a Ukrainian. I don't know if it's difficult to make that because, of course, he's over at the Zone versus Top Rank, but I think that's a great fight. That guy hasn't had very good opposition over at Top Rank, man. Those aren't very good fights that they put Janibek in.
Nah, like it's really hard. Like, can you really? Top Rank isn't really the popular division when it comes to. Is it popular when it comes to middleweights because they don't really have nobody? Like Nico Ali Roche is still far away from where they want to be. Xander Zayas, he can be a multi-division champion potentially, but he's still at least a year away from potentially fighting for a title.
Drew, Little Penny's talking about female youth. So I mentioned my homegirl Mom Food, and he's bringing up another Las Vegas big YouTube star. Shoeshine, have you noticed Norma Gelly has lost some weight? She listened to me. That girl's been hitting the gym lately.
Little Penny, I don't know who the fuck that is, but
you know what?
If you could,
Little Penny,
show me a picture of her.
Little Penny, send Drew a video of Norma, or send him a video on IG. We'll see if that's his type of Latina. He did ask me for a date with Sinisa Estrada. Like I even know Sinisa. Send him we got a call. Let's take this call right now. I dive. Grass.
That's only because you can't do it. I know you can't do it. You know I'm a smart motherfucker when it comes to that shit.
510, you're on the Shoeshine.
Hey, what's up, dude? Hey, Drew, what do you mean Derevchenko versus Janibek can't happen? What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that fight.
Hold on.
No.
Finish my
now
question.
you're putting words in my mouth again, Nando.
Can I finish my question? Can I finish my question?
Yeah, change your question. Change your question because you put words in my mouth again.
Let me finish my question. Give me 2 seconds before you come down, try to jump down my throat. He made like less than $500,000 for that fight versus. There you go again.
But you're putting words in my mouth.
$500,000 for the Munguia. There you go again. Go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
I didn't say that fight can happen with Derevchenko and Janibek. What the hell are you talking about? Now you're putting words in my mouth again.
Fight? You said that you can't cross the street. You were shitting on it.
I didn't say that. I wasn't shitting on that. I wasn't shitting on that fight. I was shitting on other fights, not that Janibek versus Derevchenko fight. I like that fight.
That's
but
a
I don't
great
know
fight, and it's makeable.
And I don't
That's
think
a great fight, and it's makeable.
See? Putting words in
That's
my
a
mouth
makeable
again.
fight.
I like that fight. I like that fight a lot. I think it's a real dangerous fight for Janibek, and I think Derevchenko has a good chance of beating him. So let's look
give
at.
him another title shot. He deserves it. Give Derevchenko another title shot, man. He deserves it.
But here's the thing. Here's the issue. The thing that I've seen, I'm putting to potential middleweights at top rank. I'm talking about that. Like, you got Nick Ali Ross, he's still years away. He didn't really, he's not really showing improvement that much. Xander Zayas is.
Who has any middleweights, Drew? Who has any? There aren't any. Who has any? Go down any roster you want to. Nobody has any. Munguia who's up to 168. So right now at 160, it's really just the guy that fought over the weekend, Dominus, and Janibek, and Derevchenko. That's it. That's the three guys right now at 160. Jamal's moving up to fight Canelo. There is no other fights to make.
That's
a great fight, dude.
I gotta pull up the fucking middleweight ranks. I gotta put some shit up.
Right now, the dog says it's a draw.
2 names on it, dude. You don't even gotta bother, bro. There's only like 2 names on it.
My dog is half blind and half deaf. She said it's a draw right now. You guys were on fire last week. Nando, what do you think about Edgar Berlanga? The show I brought up. Real quick, let me say shout out to Michelle Monroe. I appreciate Michelle for coming in here. A huge Vegas YouTuber. You guys go check out her channel, Michelle Monroe. Everything Vegas. It's fantastic. Okay. Appreciate it. We were just talking about another female Las Vegas YouTuber, and all of a sudden they're coming in our room. Drew, it must be Drew, right? Right, Nando?
It's always Drew, man. I don't know, man. I think Drew and me are related. I got a couple of redheads in my family, dude.
I don't know. I look at it like
Drew,
this.
man. They're just like Drew, man. We're always going at it all the time. Huh?
But here's the thing. They still got Munguia at the middleweight ranks. He's not right to super middleweight. He got this is what they got for WBO. They got Triple G ranked number 1, Liam Smith number 2, Munguia number 3, and everything. The rest of them, who the fuck are these motherfuckers? No, none of these guys.
Exactly.
And then you got Kelly 27-3. Now let's look at what the fuck.
Trash.
Yeah, it's fucking.
I'm just thinking for Janibek, dude. I'm just thinking for Janibek because he needs a big fight. He's starting to cool off now. At first, everybody was like, "That's the boogeyman." Yeah, right.
And the Ring Magazine.
But nobody's talking like that. Who's he going to fight next? He needs a big fight soon. He really does. And that Derevchenko fight. I mean, how top rank cannot afford it, man? They'd probably pay him $500,000. He'd be happy with that and a title shot. If I'm Derevchenko,
it's crazy.
I'll sign up for that right away, man.
You got vacated belt. You got a vacated IBF belt right now. And who the fuck are these guys that are ranked there? Janibek's not even ranked in the IBF. If you look at it, Derevchenko, Munguia, you got Charlo, you had the Das, Triple G's the number 1 in the WBC. Eubanks Jr. is ranked number 5. Why the fuck is he even ranked in the top 10 after that loss to Liam Smith and everything? But I don't know. Liam Williams is ranked number 10. J-Rock is ranked number 13. He just lost over the weekend. Other than that, dropped out this month. The WBC dropped out Munguia and Derevchenko out the rankings in the WBC.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep.
And WBA law, he's fighting Danny Garcia is moving up, and he's ranked number 7. Danny Garcia at middleweight in WBA now. And guess who's ranked number 2 in the WBA rankings? You won't believe it.
Lara.
Sergio Martinez.
Hey, what's wrong with that? He's on a win streak.
Laura's a champion.
Shout out to all the guys in their mid-40s with 6-packs, man. Not that I have
champion,
one.
Bro.
160 is trash, man. It's just fucking trash.
Laura's champion.
Somebody give Sergio Martinez a shot again, man. I like the W. It would be the WBA. That is hilarious, guys.
It's just crazy.
Dude, he's running around like Stone Cold with the leg braces on, man. He's got leg braces on now. It's like Stone Cold out there.
Yeah.
He's done, dude.
You got to fight for the vacant IBF title in July 1st. So, 2 undefeated guys, but who the fuck knows them? Nobody. This division's a shit show. Mosley Jr. is ranked number 10 in WBA. like I don't know what the fuck to say about this division. It's trash. It's fucking trash. And I'm fucking actually doing some research and looking at these fucking rankings during the show.
Well, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on from the middleweight. Hang tight with us, Nando. I appreciate you, man. Boxing MMA 365 wanted to remind us Lara is fighting Danny Garcia for the WBA. What? That's crazy. Danny Garcia is moving up to 160. That's news to me. I was still waiting for this catchweight fight in the 150s. I mean, it could be a good fight. We'll see what Danny Garcia has left. Lara's in his late 30s. That's just crazy. That just goes to point how wild this division is at 160, that someone moving up from 147 is just going to skip 154. Good for Danny Garcia if he gets the fight.
He fought at 154 in his last fight. Dave?
Is that right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, he fought at 154 in the last couple fights.
In July of last year.
Ah, shit. That's how unmemorable it was.
He fought at 154 a couple times already. So
no one is going to remember this segment, guys. All right. Hey, this weekend, there are some fights, man. There's some fights, of course. Real quick shout out, man. I want to say shout out to Thompson Boxing on Friday nights on YouTube. Of course, you can catch him. Beto Duran, great commentator, Chicano commentator. Beto Duran, Dougie Fisher from Ring. They always show the Shoe Shine a lot of love on that broadcast. They're the only boxing broadcast. Even Pro Box TV, I told Lukey, who writes for Pro Box TV, I'm like, let them engage with the audience. And that's what Thompson Boxing does so well. They interact with the audience live on YouTube, and they always show us a lot of love, the Shoe Shine. So shout out to Beto Duran. He does a great job at Golden Boy over at the Zone 2 commentator. What a dream job. What a dream job, man. If only that could be my job. Oh, man. I want to remind everybody this weekend from Ohio, Baby Anderson is fighting. Guys, I remember going to his first pro fight. I was at that first pro fight. That first pro fight featured Shakur Stevenson in the main event. It had Andy El Tiburon Vences. It had a friend of our show, Francisco Vargas, who also retired. That was a great card in Reno, man. That feels like yesterday. Xander Zayas turned pro at that fight. That was the exact. Xander Zayas turned pro the night Baby Anderson, the huge Ohio star, turned pro. And Drew, I still read about this shit, that Baby Anderson knocked out Tyson Fury in Las Vegas in preparation for his fight. That Baby Anderson, again, Baby Anderson from Ohio is reportedly knocked out. I'm sure you guys have heard this. In sparring, knocked out the Gypsy King, the heavyweight champion, a global star. Whether it's true or not, I've never seen the video. But it's enough for, I think, some boxing writers to proclaim that Baby Anderson should be the world heavyweight champ because he knocked out Tyson Fury at sparring, which we know is all gibberish and bullshit. But seriously, man, how high is the ceiling for the guy who's dressed as a pimp? He's always comes in different funny costumes. How high is the ceiling for Baby Anderson? I'll start with Nando, bro. Do you think he could be the next great American heavyweight champion?
I think so, dude. I think it's not just his power; it's his athleticism, and he's got really good defense, man. I remember there was during one of those bubble boxing fights where he knocked out a guy after he smoothed off two punches straight at his face, smoothed him off, and came back with the counter left hook and knocked the guy out, man. He's talented, man. I think he is the future of the heavyweight division, man. I don't think it's Daniel Dubois or anybody else, man. It's him. He's the future of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, Daniel Dubois, similar in size and whatnot. People had high expectations, but we saw him get knocked out by the Juggernaut and his face busted up open. Charles Martin, on a whim, once upon a time, was the heavyweight champion. If I remember correctly, Drew, do you remember that fight? How he won that fight and held the title for one belt?
The guy got hurt in the second round, and they fucking gave him the knockout.
And they gave him the TKO. And just like that, Charles Martin from Los Angeles, an unknown heavyweight, kind of a club fighter heavyweight, becomes world champion. So I always say, if you're going to go and really make a case to be a world champion and get a world title fight, you got to have some former world champions on your resume. What else can you ask of the guy, man? We'll see what Charles Martin has left, but I think this fight is going to end in a highlight KO stoppage for Baby Anderson. Just another one of the great stoppages we're going to see from this guy. I think the sky's the limit for him. And there's some great talent right now in the heavyweight division. A lot of Zalil Zhang. I'm excited for him. I'm still excited to see the Juggernaut against most of these guys. Of course, we've got Deontay Wilder still came back. We've got the possibility of Mexican heavyweight Andy, what's the name? Andy the Destroyer. What's his last name, guys?
Ruiz.
Thank you,
Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz, Mr. Divorce. There's a lot of potential good matchups for this guy, young guy. But Baby Anderson, that was a good fight. By the way, did you guys watch Nando? Did you see Kunaki? I kept calling him Kunowski on Saturday night. Kunaki versus the Sicilian fighter. That was a really good fight.
Yeah, it was sloppy good fun, man. That's what Kanowski's known for, man. Fun fight and gets knocked out the end. That's been his career for the last few fights.
Did you get to watch that one?
Dropped. Yeah, PBC even dropped him because of it.
Yeah.
But I knew a while ago he wasn't going to be big at that heavyweight division. Once somebody was able to take his punches and put a beating on him, it was all she wrote because the dude has no defense. His head is his defense. He puts his head in the way. And he's undersized and he's out of shape.
Well, it remains to be seen what's going to happen this year.
Arms. And he's got short arms.
Yeah, he does that too. But I'll be honest, man. First of all, boxing MMA, I can't even make 160 anymore, man. I'm lucky if I can make 175. I'm 205, man. First of all, when it comes to your one thing, but second,
damn, me and Drew just about weight. I weighed 205 2 weeks ago, and I came to Vegas and I'm like, I'm gonna get my summer beach bod ready. I haven't done shit. Except put on weight, and maybe it's just age, man. But I'm trying. I can't believe me and Drew the same weight.
I put my mind to it, man. I could probably make 175 or maybe 168, but I definitely not making 160.
I'm gonna put my mind to losing some weight, and when I get there, I'll post the after pic, which may never happen. It may never happen.
I don't want to weigh below 170. That's the thing. I never want to weigh below 170 again. But Jared Anderson, man, that dude, he's going to be a world champion. He is. He has everything. All you got to do is get to do some rounds, and you see where it's at.
Sin City Syndicate says, I weighed 205.
Perfect fight position.
He said he weighed 205 in 2017. Drew stepped away for a moment. Fonzie619 says, you guys are lucky. I'm 260. Yeah, but Fonzie, you wear it well. And Mom Food says, I'm 175. Wow. That's interesting. Women never tell their weight, but no, Mom Food looks great too. You guys can catch her on her YouTube channel. And I appreciate, like I said just a minute ago, Michelle Monroe is still here. Make sure you guys go over and subscribe because they're great YouTube providers. Nando, you still with me? I don't know what happened to Drew. I'm going to wrap this show up in just a second. But the funniest shit I heard all week, and this is going to break through everywhere, is the fact that the two richest guys in the world, just about, and one of them is a Bay Area guy. He used to live just up, there's a huge disparity between where I used to live in the Santa Clara area and Palo Alto. And I can't believe, and he also owned a home in San Francisco's Mission Dolores district right across the street from the park, man. But Musk versus Zuck. Did you hear about this one, Nando?
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm not even. It's hilarious. I'll say one thing, man. Dana's a fucking hypocrite, man. He was all talking shit about boxing. Now look at him, man. He's like wearing a T-shirt with Elon Musk and Zuckerberg on it and shit, man. Like, I don't know, dude. I wouldn't pay $5 to watch that shit.
You would have paid $5.
Two KTO white guys fighting every weekend at the bar, man.
All right, so this is what I know. Zuckerberg has been dedicated to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was kind of his idea. He thinks he's getting good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a beef with one of the wealthiest other guys in the world, of course, tech executives from the Bay Area. Dana White says, this isn't a gimmick. A gimmick is MMA guys going to the world of boxing and getting beat. We have seen it already and know how it ends. This is a fight between two of the most powerful, richest guys in the world. Who will win? Who has seen this before? Nobody. It's also a crossover fight that literally everyone will watch, says Dana White. And it's interesting to me that no boxing promoter was able to get the blessing to put together this event. This is going over to Las Vegas's Dana White. I'm a little salty on that, man. I think I would have liked to have seen them in a boxing ring, but maybe all this celebrity boxing, Nando, all this celebrity boxing where YouTube fights, influencer fighter, they must have been watching. One of them must be watching this shit and say they want to get in the ring and do it. Like I said, Zuckerberg practices jujitsu. So he must think he's going to beat this dude easy. Yeah.
Hey, nobody likes to watch celebrity MMA because it looks like two vatos humping, man. It's not going to look like regular MMA. It's going to look like two dudes rolling around making out on the ground, man.
They're gonna be.
But you know,
they're gonna be the headlining event too.
But you know what? People like watching all these fucking fighters in the cage at the same time fighting each other, or tag team MMA. Like, you see what they're doing on their zone now, tag team boxing with the Misfits.
I haven't seen it, but Drew, I saw that shit in Vegas last year. By the way, shout out to Mom Food and Michelle. Last year at this event in Vegas, there was a comedy festival. It's one of the biggest comedy festivals. Damn, I forget the name. I posted it on my YouTube channel because I was so wrapped into it. They had all the comedians boxing on Fremont Street, which is downtown Las Vegas. I got 21,000 views on comedians boxing. And I ran into one of the Filipino guys that was fighting in the main event. And it turns out he really took the fight serious, man. He was in the gym training and learning and discipline. And it was pretty fun to watch those guys. Drew, what is my point? I don't fucking know what my point is. Even comedians are boxing at this point. Thanks, Nando, for joining us. Even comedians want to get in the ring and fight each other. And you know what? It can be entertaining at times. And they had that. Drew, now I remember my point. That's the first time I saw tag team boxing, okay? So
but you want to know something, man?
You want to be a tag team with me, right?
There's so much shit going on now. Now we got the fucking 5'10" gate and everything. People are lying about the fucking height and everything. Just to shed a little bit of weight away and everything.
I lied about my height for years.
Hey, people are lying saying they're fucking 6'1" and everything, but they're really 5'10". And so, end of the fucking day, man. Yo, be happy what you are, man. If you're 5'10", you're 5'10". If you're 5'10", weigh fucking 255 and everything, hey, be happy about it. Give you some motivation, lose some fucking weight or something. But at the end of the fucking day, man, I'm 6 foot and I weigh 205, 210, and I look good as hell. And I got the confidence like a motherfucker that I look good as hell.
Y'all
and everybody don't like it, they can kiss my fucking Irish ass.
You hear that, Sinisa Estrada? You hear that? Drew's confident as hell. Be happy with what you got. It's been a fun time, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and Drew Evo every Monday night, the Shoe Shine. Don't forget, I want to remind everybody, I'm going to be on YouTube with D-Styles channel this Thursday. We're going to have Roberto Diaz from Golden Boy. He's not a guest, guys. He's going to be a guest panelist. He's going to be one of the 6 guys talking. Of course, he's a great matchmaker, a long time figure in professional boxing. It's going to be exciting to join him. And maybe, Drew, we'll get a chance to interview him, which means no more slandering Golden Boy on this show, at least for a while.
Yo, I'll tell you this right now. How about I get me, Nando, maybe Chicano, maybe Nopar, maybe you to sit around a campfire and talk boxing instead. And we can slam anybody the fuck we want.
There you have it. Tag team podcast boxing some shit with Drew and Dave, man. Hey, it's been great, guys. Thanks so much. Don't forget to hit that like or drop us a comment and hit subscribe. I really appreciate you guys, man. Much love to everyone in this chat. Drew, I'll see you next week, man. Don't forget, Thursday night on YouTube at 4:00 p.m. Pacific, D-Style Boxing will have a great panel with a special guest, Roberto Diaz from Golden Boy Boxing. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out, everybody. Peace.